Puppy was dying in blizzard until cat steps in. Years later, mother dog returns and nobody expected this. The winter of 2019 was particularly harsh in our small northern town. Weather forecasts warned of an approaching blizzard, the worst in decades. As I prepared my home for the coming storm, securing windows and stocking up on supplies, I never imagined how this night would change my life forever. It was just past midnight when I heard the scratching at my back door. Living on the outskirts of town, unusual noises weren't uncommon. But this sound was different, desperate, intentional. Through the frosted glass, I could make out a dark shape moving in the snow. When I opened the door, I found myself face to face with a mother dog, her coat matted and thin, her eyes filled with an intelligence that spoke of both desperation and determination. At her feet lay a tiny bundle of fur, barely moving in the gathering snow. "Oh my goodness," I whispered, careful not to startle them. The mother dog's story was written in her appearance, clearly a stray, bearing the marks of a hard life on the streets. But what struck me most was her behavior. Instead of backing away, she gently nudged her puppy closer to my door with her nose. The puppy couldn't have been more than a few weeks old, severely undernourished and shivering violently. Her tiny frame was almost lost in the growing snowdrift, and her eyes, barely open, seemed to flutter between consciousness and exhaustion. I moved slowly, speaking in soft tones. "It's okay, girl. You're safe here." The mother dog watched intently as I knelt down. In that moment, our eyes met and I understood what was happening. This wasn't a random encounter. This was a mother's last desperate act to save her child. When I reached for the puppy, the mother dog didn't growl or show any aggression. Instead, she took one step back, her eyes never leaving her baby. The puppy weighed almost nothing in my hands, her little heart beating rapidly against my palm. "Come inside, both of you," I said, opening the door wider. But the mother dog remained where she was. She watched as I brought her puppy inside, her eyes following our movement through the glass. I quickly placed the puppy on a warm blanket and returned to the door, but the mother was already backing away into the swirling snow. "Wait," I called out, but she turned and disappeared into the darkness, leaving only her footprints in the fresh snow, footprints that would soon be erased by the coming storm. Back inside, I focused on the tiny life she had entrusted to me. The puppy was female, mostly white with patches of light brown, her small body trembling despite the warmth of my home. As I dried her with a soft towel, I could feel every rib, every delicate bone beneath her skin. "Don't worry, little one," I murmured, wrapping her in a heated blanket. "Your mama knew what she was doing. You're going to be okay." That night, as the blizzard raged outside, I stayed up watching over this precious charge. I named her Baikai, meaning cabbage in Mandarin, because like the hardy vegetable, she had survived against all odds in the cold. Every few hours, I tried to feed her warm puppy formula through a small syringe. Sometimes she would take a few drops, other times she seemed too weak to swallow. Through it all, I couldn't stop thinking about her mother, wondering if she had found shelter from the storm, hoping she somehow knew her baby was safe. The storm raged for 3 days, transforming our town into a winter fortress. During those long hours, bite-sized life hung by a thread. I converted my living room into a makeshift nursery, setting up a heating pad and soft blankets in a cozy box near the fireplace. "Come on, sweet girl," I would coax as I tried to feed her every 2 hours. "Your mama didn't bring you all this way for nothing." The local vet couldn't make it through the snow-blocked roads, so we relied on phone consultations. Dr. Sarah, who had been my family's veterinarian for years, guided me through those critical first days. "Keep her warm, keep trying with the formula, and most importantly, don't give up," she advised. "These little ones can be surprisingly resilient." Baikai proved her right. By the 3rd day, her sucking reflex grew stronger, and she began taking more formula at each feeding. Her tiny tail, no bigger than my thumb, would give the faintest wag when she heard my voice. When the roads finally cleared, our first trip to the animal hospital revealed the full extent of her condition. She was severely malnourished, suffering from hypothermia, and had a mild respiratory infection. But she had something else too, a fighting spirit that amazed even the veteran staff. "Look at how she responds to you," Dr. Sarah observed during our examination. "She's already bonded with you. That will make a huge difference in her recovery." The X-rays showed Baikai was approximately 5 weeks old, though her size suggested younger. Her breed was harder to determine, possibly a mix of Samoyed and local street dogs, given her pale coat and gentle features. Back home, each day brought small victories. The first time she managed to stand on her wobbly legs, I celebrated like she'd won an Olympic medal. When she first barked, a squeaky sound more like a mouse than a dog, I recorded it to commemorate the moment. My house gradually transformed to accommodate my new charge. Baby gates appeared in doorways, puppy pads covered strategic locations, and my once pristine floors became littered with soft toys and chew items. The most heartwarming changes were in Baikai herself. Her ribs, once painfully visible, began to fill out. Her coat, which had been dull and patchy, started growing in thick and lustrous. But it was her eyes that showed the most remarkable transformation. They sparkled with life and curiosity. One morning, about 2 weeks after her arrival, I woke to find her attempting to climb out of her box. When I lifted her out, she wobbled across the floor to a sunny spot by the window. There she sat, watching the winter birds at the feeder, her tail wagging with newfound enthusiasm. "You want to see the world, don't you?" I laughed, sitting beside her. "Just wait until you're stronger. We'll explore everything together." As Baikai grew stronger, I often found myself thinking about her mother. Had she survived the storm? Was she still out there somewhere? I put up posters around town and checked local shelters, but no one had seen a dog matching her description. Dr. Sarah suggested that mother dogs sometimes know when they can't care for their puppies and seek help from humans they sense they can trust. "She chose your house for a reason," she said. "Maybe she saw something in you that told her this was where her baby would be safe." Those words stayed with me, making me even more determined to honor that mother's trust. Every milestone in Bite-Size recovery felt like a tribute to her sacrifice. Each pound gained, each new skill mastered, each happy bark was a testament to her mother's wisdom in choosing this path for her. As winter slowly gave way to spring, Baikai blossomed like the flowers in our garden. Her personality emerged, a delightful mix of playful enthusiasm and gentle wisdom that seemed beyond her years. Perhaps it was something inherited from her mother, that knowing look in her eyes that suggested she understood more than a typical puppy should. Our daily routine became a source of joy for both of us. Mornings started with her gentle pawing at my bedroom door. She had graduated from her box to a plush bed in the hallway, though she often ended up snuggled against my door by dawn. "Good morning, my little cabbage." I'd greet her, using the nickname that had stuck. She'd respond with what we came to call her happy dance, a wiggling celebration involving her whole body, from nose to tail. Training sessions revealed her remarkable intelligence. She mastered basic commands with surprising speed, earning praise from our puppy class instructor. "She watches you so intently," the trainer noted. "It's like she's trying to anticipate what you need before you ask." Indeed, Baikai showed an uncanny ability to read emotions. On days when I felt under the weather, she would quietly curl up beside me, offering silent comfort. When I was excited about something, she'd match my energy with joyful bounds and playful barks. Our first major milestone came when Dr. Sarah declared her healthy enough for outdoor walks. I had worried about how she'd react to the outside world, given her rough start in life. But Baikai approached everything with cautious curiosity. "Easy now," I'd remind her as we explored our neighborhood. She'd investigate every flower, every leaf, every friendly neighbor who stopped to meet her, but always with one eye on me, making sure I was nearby. The local children became some of her biggest fans. Mrs. Chen's granddaughter, Little Ming, would wait by her fence every afternoon to greet us. "Baikai, Baikai," she'd call out, and my puppy would gently accept her pats, showing remarkable patience with the child's enthusiastic affection. As she grew, certain behaviors emerged that made me wonder about her past. She had an unusual fondness for watching the stars at night, often sitting by the window after dark, gazing at the sky. Was she remembering that night in the snow? Looking for her mother? "I wish you could tell me your story," I'd say during these quiet moments. She'd respond by placing her paw on my hand, as if to say, "This is my story now." Her protective instincts surfaced early. When Mr. Wilson, our elderly neighbor, slipped on his front steps, Bai was the first to alert me with urgent barking. We found him in time to prevent any serious injury, and after that, she made a point of checking on him during our daily walks. Food remained special to her, perhaps a remnant of her early struggles. While never aggressive, she approached each meal with reverence, always taking time to give me a grateful look before eating. I made sure to provide the best nutrition, remembering her fragile beginning. "You'll never go hungry again," I promised her one evening as she enjoyed her dinner. The way she leaned against my leg afterward felt like her way of saying she understood. Spring brought new opportunities for Bai to show her extraordinary character. As the weather warmed, we ventured further in our explorations, and I discovered that my little survivor had a gift for bringing people together. Our morning walks became social events in the neighborhood. Mrs. Thompson, who rarely left her house since losing her husband, started sitting on her porch specifically to greet us. Bai would gently rest her head on Mrs. Thompson's lap while the elderly woman shared stories about her late husband's dog. "She listens better than most people," Mrs. Thompson would say, wiping away tears. "It's like she knows exactly what my heart needs." At the local park, Bai developed a reputation for her gentle way with fearful dogs. One memorable afternoon, we encountered a recently rescued German Shepherd who was terrified of everything. While other dogs kept their distance, Bai approached slowly, laying down a few feet away, showing submission and patience until the scared dog felt safe enough to interact. "I've never seen anything like it," the shepherd's owner marveled. "She's like a little therapist." Our visits to the veterinary clinic became celebrations rather than checkups. Dr. Sarah used Bai as an example for other pet owners, showing how proper care and love could transform a struggling animal into a thriving companion. "Remember how she looked that first night?" Dr. Sarah would remind me. "Now look at her. She's teaching us all about resilience." Indeed, Bai had filled out beautifully. Her coat was now thick and luxurious, with subtle waves that shimmered in the sunlight. The brown patches that had been barely visible in her early days now created beautiful markings across her white fur, like an artist's gentle brushstrokes. But it was her eyes that captured everyone's attention, deep brown pools of wisdom that seemed to hold the secrets of both suffering and joy. People often commented on how she looked directly at them, maintaining eye contact in a way that made them feel truly seen. Summer brought new adventures. I discovered Bai loved water, though she approached it with characteristic thoughtfulness. Unlike other dogs who would splash in immediately, she would study the waves at the lake, testing the water with one paw before gracefully gliding in. "Your dog has better manners than most people's children," joked a lifeguard at the local beach. We started visiting nursing homes as unofficial therapy dogs. Though not formally trained, Bai seemed to know instinctively which residents needed her most. She would spend extra time with those who were particularly withdrawn or sad, offering her presence until smiles emerged. One remarkable incident occurred during a visit to the memory care unit. A resident who hadn't spoken in months suddenly began telling stories about his childhood dog when Bai laid her head on his knee. The staff was amazed, but I had grown used to Bite-Size's special way of connecting with hearts. At home, she continued to surprise me with her intelligence and sensitivity. She learned to anticipate my needs, bringing my slippers before I asked, or gently pawing at my laptop when I'd been working too long without a break. During thunderstorms, she showed no fear herself but would sit close to me, as if offering protection. On one particularly loud night, I found myself wondering if she remembered that terrible blizzard of her early days. "You're safe now," I whispered, more out of habit than necessity. She responded by licking my hand and settling closer, her warm presence a reminder that perhaps she was the one protecting me. The most extraordinary chapter in our story began on an ordinary autumn morning. We were taking our usual route through Parker's Woods when Baikai suddenly froze, her nose working overtime, body tense with attention. Before I could react, she gave a soft whine, a sound I'd never heard from her before, and began pulling gently but insistently toward a less traveled path. Something in her demeanor told me this wasn't just typical dog curiosity. "What is it, girl?" I asked, allowing her to lead me. We emerged into a small clearing where a makeshift shelter had been created under a fallen tree. There, curled up in what appeared to be an old blanket, was a dog who made my heart skip a beat. Though thinner and grayer than I remembered, I recognized those eyes immediately. Bite-sized mother. The reunion that followed brought tears to my eyes. Baikai approached slowly, her tail wagging tentatively. The older dog raised her head, nostrils flaring as she took in her grown daughter's scent. There was a moment of stillness. Then both dogs began to tremble with recognition. "It's really you," I whispered, watching as mother and daughter touched noses cautiously, then with increasing confidence. The older dog was clearly unwell. Her breathing was labored, and she showed signs of recent injury. Yet there was still that same dignity I remembered from that snowy night, the same intelligent gaze that had trusted me with her precious puppy. Without hesitation, I called Dr. Sarah. "I need help," I explained, describing our discovery. Within an hour, she arrived with her mobile clinic equipment. "She's malnourished, has a respiratory infection, and some older injuries that never properly healed," Dr. Sarah reported after her examination. "But with proper care, she should recover." The decision to bring her home was instantaneous. We named her Luna, for the moonlit night when she'd first appeared in our lives. Getting her into the car was a challenge. She was weak and initially resistant, but Baikai seemed to understand what was needed. She hopped into the back seat first, then gave her mother an encouraging look that seemed to say, "Trust us, like you did before." The next few weeks were reminiscent of Bite-Size's early days, but this time I had an eager assistant in my nursing duties. Baikai never left her mother's side, often bringing her toys or gentle nudging her to eat. She would clean Luna's face after meals, just as Luna must have done for her when she was a puppy. Luna's recovery was slower than Bite-Size had been, but steady. Each day brought small improvements: stronger appetite, brighter eyes, more energy for short walks around the garden. The bond between mother and daughter deepened, displaying itself in touching ways. They developed a habit of sitting together by the window at sunset, their profiles nearly identical despite their age difference. Luna would often rest her head on Bite-Size's back, as if making up for lost time, while Baikai maintained her protective vigil. "It's remarkable how they've remembered each other," Dr. Sarah commented during a checkup. "Studies show dogs can recognize their relatives even after long separations, but this connection seems especially strong." As Luna regained her strength, her personality emerged, gentle like her daughter's, but with an added layer of wisdom that came from her years on the streets. She was excellent with other animals, helping to calm nervous pets at the vet clinic just as Baikai did. The presence of both mother and daughter in my home brought unexpected joy and fascinating revelations. Watching them together helped me understand where Baikai had gotten many of her endearing traits. Luna shared the same thoughtful approach to life, the same gentle wisdom in her interactions with others. As Luna's health improved, she and Baikai developed routines that were beautiful to witness. Every morning, they would greet each other with gentle nose touches before coming to wake me. During walks, they moved in perfect synchronization, Luna slightly behind, as if still watching over her grown daughter. "They're teaching each other," observed Dr. Sarah during one of her visits. "Luna's learning to trust humans again through Bite-Size example, while Bite-Size maternal instincts are developing by caring for her mother." The transformation in Luna was remarkable. The fearful, wounded stray gradually became a confident, loving companion. She maintained her independence, perhaps a remnant of her years on the streets, but showed her affection in subtle ways. A paw on my knee during quiet evenings, a gentle lean against my leg during thunderstorms. One particularly touching moment occurred when Mr. Wilson's granddaughter visited with her new puppy. Luna and Baikai worked together to help the nervous pup adjust, demonstrating a natural ability to nurture that seemed to run in their family. "Look at them," Mr. Wilson chuckled. "They're like professional puppy teachers." Their influence extended beyond our immediate neighborhood. The local shelter asked if we would bring them to help socialize newly rescued dogs. Luna proved especially skilled at this, perhaps remembering her own journey from streets to safety. During these visits, I often caught glimpses of their past life. Luna would sometimes pause near certain areas of town, her eyes distant, as if remembering. Baikai would wait patiently beside her, offering silent support until her mother was ready to move on. "Animals carry their histories with them," Dr. Sarah explained, "but they also have an amazing capacity to heal and create new memories." As months passed, our household settled into a comfortable rhythm. Luna claimed the window seat as her favorite spot, while Baikai preferred her bed near my desk. Yet they always came together for important moments, meals, walks, and their special sunset watching ritual. Their story began to spread through our small town, touching hearts and inspiring others. The local newspaper ran a feature about them, leading to increased support for animal rescue efforts. People would stop us on our walks to hear their story, often leaving with tears in their eyes and a new perspective on animal intelligence and loyalty. Winter returned, bringing with it the anniversary of that fateful night. As snow began to fall, I found Luna and Baikai sitting together by the window, watching the flakes drift down. Luna turned to look at me, and in her eyes, I saw not regret for her years of hardship, but gratitude for where life had led her. That evening, as we sat by the fireplace, Luna in her bed, Baikai leaning against my legs, I reflected on the extraordinary chain of events that had brought us together. A mother's desperate act of love, a puppy's will to survive, and the incredible bonds that can form between species when we open our hearts to each other. "You know," I said to them both, "some people might say I rescued you, but the truth is, you've rescued me just as much." Our story might have remained just a heartwarming tale between three unlikely family members, but fate had other plans. It began when the local elementary school invited us for a special presentation about animal kindness and rescue. Luna and Baikai, now a remarkable mother-daughter team, entered the school gymnasium with their characteristic grace. The children sat cross-legged on the floor, their eyes wide with wonder as I shared the story of that snowy night and the journey that followed. But the most important lesson, I told them, isn't just about helping animals. It's about how love can heal, how trust can rebuild broken spirits, and how sometimes the greatest gifts come in unexpected packages. After the presentation, one little girl raised her hand. Her voice trembled as she spoke. "My daddy says we're too poor to keep pets, but I found a kitten." She started crying, and Luna, sensing her distress, gently approached and laid her head in the child's lap. That moment sparked something remarkable. The school principal, Mrs. Martinez, suggested creating a program where children could learn about responsible pet care. Luna and Baikai became regular visitors, helping teach empathy and compassion. Our local veterinary clinic took notice. Dr. Sarah developed a scholarship program, offering basic pet care for families struggling financially. "Every child deserves to experience the love of a pet," she declared, "and every animal deserves a chance at a loving home." The impact rippled through our community. The shelter's adoption rates increased as people were inspired by Luna and Bite-sized story. Even Margaret Wilson, once skeptical of rescue animals, became one of our biggest supporters, organizing fundraisers for the new Community Pet Care Initiative. Luna, despite her age, seemed to grow younger in spirit with each passing month. She and Baikai developed an almost uncanny ability to identify those who needed them most. During therapy visits to the nursing home, they would unfailingly find their way to residents having particularly difficult days. "It's like they have a GPS for broken hearts," one nurse commented. Their influence extended beyond our town. A children's book author, charmed by their story, wrote The Snow Night Miracle, featuring Luna and Bite-Sized Journey. The book's success led to the creation of an educational program about animal welfare and the bonds between humans and animals. One spring morning, as we sat in our garden watching Luna and Baikai play with gentle dignity among the flowers, I received a call from the mayor's office. They wanted to establish an annual Compassion Day in honor of Luna and Bite-Sized Story, celebrating acts of kindness between all living beings. Your dogs, the mayor said, have taught our town more about love and second chances than any human could. Looking at my two faithful companions, I couldn't help but marvel at life's unexpected turns. Luna, once a desperate mother making an impossible choice, and Baikai, the tiny puppy fighting for survival, had become teachers of the most profound lessons about love, trust, and the healing power of compassion. As the sun set that evening, casting long shadows across our yard, Luna and Baikai assumed their usual positions by the window. Their silhouettes, perfectly aligned, reminded me of all the miracles that had brought us to this moment. You see, I whispered to them, sometimes the greatest stories aren't about grand adventures or dramatic rescues. Sometimes they're about simple acts of love that create ripples of change in the world. Both dogs turned to look at me, their eyes reflecting the wisdom of their journey, and I knew that while our story might seem complete, in many ways it was just beginning. 1 year after the establishment of Compassion Day, I sat in my garden watching the first snow of winter drift down. Luna, now completely silver around her muzzle but still dignified, rested in her favorite heated bed near the window. Baikai lay beside her, ever the devoted daughter, their breaths rising and falling in perfect synchronization. What happened next seemed like destiny coming full circle. A scratch at our front gate caught Bite-Size's attention first. Both dogs rose, alert but calm, as I went to investigate. There, shivering in the growing darkness, stood a young mother dog, thin and desperate, with two tiny puppies huddled against her. Luna and Baikai moved forward slowly, and I watched in amazement as they recreated a scene from their own past. But this time, from the other side. Luna gently nosed the mother dog, while Baikai carefully approached the puppies. The message was clear: you're safe now. Well, I said, opening the gate wider, it seems we have room for a few more miracles. As I helped the new family inside, I couldn't help but notice Luna and Baikai exchange a look that seemed to say, now it's our turn to pass on what we've learned. That night, as snow continued to fall outside, our home sheltered 3 generations of hope. Luna, the wise grandmother, Baikai, the gentle teacher, and our new guests, who would soon learn what it meant to be part of this extraordinary family. Dr. Sarah, arriving to check on our new additions, smiled knowingly. Some might call this coincidence, she said, watching Luna demonstrate to the mother dog how to use the water bowl. But I think it's something more. It's legacy. The mayor later added this chapter to our town's Compassion Day chronicles, noting how fitting it was that Luna and Bite-Sized Story had come full circle. But for those of us who witnessed it firsthand, it was simply a reminder that love, once given, has a way of multiplying beyond measure. Today, our town's animal shelter stands as a testament to their influence. The Luna and Baikai Wing provides special care for mother animals and their babies, ensuring that no parent has to make the desperate choice Luna once did. As I write this final page of their story, I look at my expanded family, Luna and Baikai still inseparable, our newest additions thriving under their guidance, and I understand that the greatest stories never really end. They simply continue through the lives they've touched and the hearts they've changed. For in every act of kindness, in every moment of compassion, the spirit of a mother's love on a snowy night lives on, reminding us that miracles don't always announce themselves with fanfare. Sometimes they come softly, on 4 paws, teaching us that the purest form of love is the kind that grows larger the more it is shared. And so, dear friends, while this may be the end of our tale, it's really just the beginning of countless others. For as long as there are hearts open to love and souls willing to trust, the legacy of Luna and Baikai will continue to light the way.